the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pingrak. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, Exo Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing, man?
I'm having a great morning. How are you?
Kind of sprung that on you.
I came in the studio a little early, and obviously it is July 7th, which my next tournament is the end of the month. But it's not a conundrum. It's not a problem. It's just different because it's at Oneida.
Yeah.
And then the next one is at the St. Lawrence River, which we talked about yesterday when we had Jacob Wheeler on, which was a fantastic interview. Wheeler I'd put him up there now, would you not, in the category of Bernie Schultz as far as giving quality interviews? Like, when we have Bernie on, would you not say Bernie's one of the top 5 just
He's
as
really
a whole?
Good. Really good.
And I think you got to put Wheeler in there along with Polinick.
Yeah.
As
really
far
good.
as guys who and Swindle obviously would be a good one too.
Yeah.
And Hackney. I'd say those are the top 5 right there, the Mount Rushmore
There you have it.
of
That's
interviews.
top 5.
But anyway, I digress. There's a lot of stuff that I have to get for these upcoming tournaments that I just don't have being in Oklahoma.
Oh, I know that situation.
Based on your bowling ball scenario.
Yeah.
But I'm talking fin clips. I'm talking drop shot weights. I pretty much use a 3/16 or a quarter, and a bunch more of that. I'm talking nose hook, drop shot hooks, plethora of different baits that I wouldn't normally use. I'm actually going to have to call up Gene Gilliland after this. I need to 100% learn how to fizz fish. I have to have different stuff for the live well, the pool noodles, all that type of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that
You got plenty of time.
living in Oklahoma, we just don't have.
You got plenty of time, dude.
I wonder if the people up north, when they come south for the first time, have to be like deep diving crankbaits.
Probably.
Just a bunch of stuff that you just is not in your repertoire until you travel across the country fishing.
Yeah, probably not.
But it's like your bowling deal, and I'm kind of going through that now because you know how it is. Before you know it, it'll be time to leave.
Yeah. It will creep up on you, man. So preparation is the key. Enough of that. I learned that very, very strongly this past weekend, and we talked about it yesterday. Anyway, dude, I want to talk to you about something that's really cool.
Okay.
And this is something that hasn't happened to me specifically for quite some time. And it's fishing related. How about that?
Okay.
So I stayed at a real good friend of mine. His name is Mark. Also, he was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. We used to work at UPS together. He's done quite well. He's retired now. And he has a home that is right near one of those lakes that's in East Dallas. I think what is that? Ray Hubbard? Is
There's
that right?
a bunch there.
I think it's Ray Hubbard. So he also has a boat dock. Now, he's got a big boat, party boat, whatever you want to call it.
A pontoon or like a ski boat?
No, he's got a pontoon boat.
Okay.
All right. So he's got a lot of room in this boat dock that he has. It's ginormous dock.
Okay.
And he was like, man, he goes, I can't catch any fish, though. I don't know why I can't catch any fish on this dock. He said, I'll catch some perch. He said, but I don't know how to catch them. So I showed him something that was very, very, very simple. And I'm not going to give it up. I will say this. It involved a spinning rod. Okay? And
The wacky worm?
no.
The drop shot?
Yes.
Why
All
would
right.
you not want to give that up?
Well, there was something specific about it.
About the
The-
drop shot.
Yeah.
Well, give it up, Mark.
No, I'm not going to give it. Hang
What
on.
was it? Did I teach you it?
No.
Wait, you've got a drop shot secret that you have not shared with me.
Yeah.
Is it how you rig the bait? Or is it the
it's
bait?
It's a Wes Endicott thing.
I thought Wes Endicott only threw a jig.
No. How do you think he caught him out of the trees back in the day and caught 5-pound spots out of Table Rock?
On a jigging spoon.
No. Did I not tell you that story? Anyway, I don't want to play the whole video here. I'll just show this to you.
Wait, what
real
is your
quick.
drop shot secret?
That's what he caught.
Holy cow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's like a 7-pounder.
Yeah.
He's holding it like a guitar.
He was very excited.
On a drop shot.
On a drop shot.
Was it a soft plastic? Someone says, was he
Yes.
drop shotting a Rogue? I'm surprised
Yeah.
you didn't tell him to just throw a Carolina rig off the end.
No.
What?
It's just a little trick that Wes taught me. Long time ago.
How you rig it? What is it
it's
in
how
relation?
You rig it. It's a different way of rigging the bait on the hook around boat docks.
Oh, Texas rigging it?
Or no. Vertical structure.
Oh, wacky rigging the bait on the drop shot hook.
No. You're close though.
You're not nose hooking it.
Not nose hook.
You're not wacky rigging it.
No.
You're not Texas rigging it.
No.
Those are literally the only three ways.
No,
you can
there's
put it
one
on
other
it.
way.
You're
and I'll
threading.
show
Are you
after the
threading
show.
it like they were doing up north?
No.
Are you using a drop shot hook or a regular hook? Straight
A
shank.
tiny hook.
A tiny hook.
Yeah. Tiny hook. I'll show you afterwards because you're the finesse guy.
I am stumped.
Anyway, that's what he did, and he said he caught like 20 fish yesterday. So he was going back to his I think it was Bass Pro Shops is the closest thing around there, and get some more of the hooks.
Are they biting it because of how you're rigging it or the hook that you're using?
They are biting it because of the way that the bait drops to the bottom.
So it would have to spiral.
It doesn't spiral.
Does it fall straight?
Yeah, it falls straight.
Well, this is very confusing. Why didn't you do this at 10 Killer?
Dude, I was on a mission. I really thought that I was going to catch him
how long have you
on a
done this?
topwater. I haven't done it that long at all.
You're not threading it.
I don't do it.
Are you doing it the Aaron Martin's way where it's
dude.
just kind of a quarter
I'll show
of the
you
way?
after the show.
It's that secret.
No, I can't explain it. It's more of a visual than it is anything else.
Okay, well, I'm intrigued.
All right, but the end result is Mark had the best day that he's ever had
on
his dock, and there was proof right there. It went over 7.
That's awesome.
So me, the old grungy, grouchy old man actually showed somebody something, and they actually had a result that wasn't a topwater and wasn't a Carolina rig.
I have seen you with your drop shots tied on. The only thing that I feel like you need to improve on your drop shotting is paying more attention to the weight. You tend to use a cannonball on your drop shot weight.
Yeah, that's just all I had.
I don't ever use the cannonball.
I couldn't tell you the last time.
The teardrop.
Dude, I couldn't tell you the last time that I fished a drop shot. Seriously. Probably on Table Rock. But in the way that this situation is, and how his dock and the row,
you were like, hey, this would play.
This is what you need to do.
Interesting.
So very, very cool. And he was
interesting.
He was really, really pumped, man. He's going back today. So I'm sure I'll hear from him and find out how he did today. I had no idea that lake had that kind of fish in it.
All those Texas lakes do. Like Biggs guides on and does a bunch of instructional stuff around that, and he's always like 8, 9s, 10s.
Yeah. What are they saying?
I can't, Andrew. I cannot drop the juice, but it is the juice. He said, Matt, what is the new big bite baits Drew Benton is fishing with? Drop the juice. We got an email specifically saying we're not allowed to talk about it.
Really?
Yeah, it's.
I don't even know. I know nothing about it. So.
It's some new stuff that's you'll hear about. Hopefully you'll hear about it in the upcoming northern swing.
He says, I need to get my butt up and go get it and show everybody how to rig it. I might do that tomorrow. But it's a Wes Endicott thing. I talk about Wes. Wes, back in the day, taught me a bunch, dude.
I think it's even a pre-iCast release. This was the first time in my career
Yeah.
that I was part of a, hey, here's some baits that you're not allowed to talk about. You know what I mean? And I was like, ooh, I'm on the short list of emails.
Yeah, that's good. That's good for you. Anyway, I was extremely happy.
It's not
for
a
Mark.
BFE.
It's not a BFE.
No.
All right. Well, I know nothing about this, so I cannot respond in any way.
Well, I just responded. I hope I didn't respond improperly there.
Yeah, I have.
Give up too much.
I have no idea about that juice.
That's
anyway,
like the announcement of the announcement of the announcement.
You like doing that. All right. Good show today. Great show today. We're going to have Britt Myers on. First time he's been on BTL for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Well, he's coming off of 3, I believe, top 30 finishes. Some really solid finishes there. He started the year. Remember when MLF or the BPT started, he struggled.
Yeah.
And then he finally made a couple cuts, and now he's working his way. He had a tough start to the year, but through 5 stages, he's had 3 top 30s. And the reason I know that is because I had to look up each individual stage, Mark.
You put a lot of work in that research.
I did.
They're working on it, man. They're going to get it to that point. I'm telling you. And then the second half of the show, we're going to check in with Mark Menendez live from the water. It's going to be via the Sunline hotline. No video on that because the cell signal is really bad up there. Check in with Mark, get his take on what is going down on Lake Champlain this week, and hopefully we can get an indication of what we can expect. A funny comment on there by David. He says, there is no more secrecy in the game than the CIA. Jeez.
Oh, there's more secrecy in this game than the CIA.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
I couldn't read it. There's more secrecy in this game than the CIA. No, that's not true.
No.
It's not a secret.
But aren't there some little things that people, like when we went out to Texoma and you were like, hey, show me your, what you call it, the dink and dunk.
Yeah.
Was I not like, hey, let's just keep this one on, let's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not secret.
It's kind of
I
proprietary.
I show it in all my
2021
videos.
Has anybody picked up on it, do you think?
No one's asked me about it.
Huh.
No one's been like, hey, that looks a little weird.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, if you also notice, I'm not sitting there rigging my stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, you're kind of secretive in a way.
You're not opposed to showing us the rig, are you?
No.
You just don't feel like you could explain it adequately.
I'm not good at that stuff. I'm really not.
Now you've caused intrigue. Now it's like when basically what you did was like when you asked when I asked the girlfriend how it's going and she says fine. There's way more to that story than just fine.
Depends on how she says fine. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
That's how you just said
Fine.
it. You just said fine when it came to rigging a bait.
No, that's
like
not. I don't have anything with me. I mean, I have nothing.
Okay.
That's the only
Fortunately,
reason.
I carry drop shot stuff with me at all times.
You probably have them out in your truck. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little dink and dunk that Endicott showed me a long time ago.
Oh, we got an email on how it says, I am allowed to say that it is a new scented plastic formula that Big Bite Baits is developing and that we are the only ones that have it. That's the official release.
Okay.
That's the official statement, but I'm excited about it.
You want to read that?
Want me to read it again?
Yeah. Officially?
Officially? Hold on. It is, I don't think I'll get in trouble for this. It says, should it come up in an interview or a live situation, as it just did,
that's what we have.
You can say that it is a new scented plastic formula that Big Bite Baits is developing and that you are the only ones that have it. Good luck the remainder of your season.
Well, there you have it. More to come. Is it going to be iCast?
I just read you what I could say, Mark.
Well, all right.
And honestly, I don't know any other details. Like I'm that level, but I'm not the.
Yeah. Look at that. It's a 7+. It's a big deal, Mark. Help a brother out. I'll see if I can find the stuff and show people tomorrow.
If this isn't a a groundbreaking new way to rig a
It's
drop
not.
shot, I'm going to be highly disappointed.
It's not. I'm telling you, it's not that big of a deal.
Then why won't you explain it?
It has to be visual. All right, and it has to do with here. It has to do with two things. One,
You've got a bait.
Hang on.
You have a bait. I'm
me
hanging.
finish.
Okay.
The first thing is it has to do with the length of the drop shot, the weight between the bait.
That's called a leader. The drop shot leader?
No.
Between the bait and the weight.
Leader?
Yeah, the drop shot leader. That's the distance between your hook and your weight.
I always thought a leader was something that tied to a swivel or you had...
No,
You know,
Britt,
like a
you called
Carolina
it.
rig.
Britt's in the queue because he's listening to this going, what am I getting into? Shake your head, yes, that's the leader. The leader length on your drop shot is the distance
whatever,
between the hook and the weight.
All right. Instead of, show me what your typical length in a drop shot is.
Well, I mean, it completely
If
varies.
you're on suspending, like on bridge pilings or
Well, it depends
or whatever.
on if you're on the bottom, if you're fishing suspended fish, the water clarity. I was fishing a 4-inch drop shot leader on the James, but I'll fish up to a 2.5 foot
Dude,
leader
don't
on table
complicate
rock.
this.
Okay, on average, a foot to foot and a half.
Okay, a key to this is the leader's only about that big
Okay,
or that long.
it's called a power shot.
You're not dragging it on the bottom.
Okay,
Okay. And you are actually leaving the hook exposed, okay, and curling part of the tail on the hook. Does
so
that
it has
make
a
any
wounded
sense?
action to it.
That's it. Okay, because ambush points are where this tactic really works well, according to Wes. I mean, I don't know because I don't throw it that much. And the way that the bait falls, you don't use a heavy drop shot weight.
Okay.
Like the cannonballs, when you're fishing those boat docks, you don't use those heavy drop shot weights. All right?
Okay.
And if you let it go, you flip it out there or drop it down or whatever you want to do. And then as it goes down, a lot of times the strikes will happen because it looks like a wounded shad or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's unique.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it goes all the way to the bottom, if you don't get hit, then you what Wes called float it. You know what that means? It's up and then let it fall down and then crank it twice. Up, let it fall, crank it twice.
All right, so you're kind of getting a reaction bite on it.
That's all it is.
I got
right?
you.
Because typically, where are these fish on the boat docks?
It's almost like my dink and dunk. They're on the corners. They're on the ambush points. They're
underneath.
Yeah.
All right. They're waiting to take advantage of what the situation is to attack. So you're making this drop shot, and once again, it's not a cannonball. It's
I know what you're saying, but it's moving the bait back. I'm telling you.
That's it.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The flying lure needs to make a comeback. I swear, someone could win a tournament on the flying lure.
Does that make
All
sense,
it is
though?
an effective tube.
Okay. Did my description?
Yes, 100%. I understand it.
Okay.
Yes.
It's
kind
not
of
unique. It's just practical.
Yeah. It's got just a little kink in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense?
Well, that was a long, sorted path to I rig it a little crooked and use a lightweight.
Dude, I'm not the drop shot expert. That's just something that being around people like Wes, that you pick up on these little tricks and tactics that sometimes you can pass along. I mean, I don't own a boat dock. I'm not going to go down there and
I'm kind of surprised
dink and
you
dunk.
don't have a lake house.
I'm not there yet, dude.
Some of that UPS stock and go buy a little cabin on the pond.
I'm making money with my money, not spending it. There's a difference. It takes money to make money, right, Britt? He's shaking his head.
He's now agreed on drop shot leader length and financial. Are we taking a break or we
Yeah, we need to take a break. Oh man, I tried to explain that right.
It took me
I'm sure
11 minutes to get that out of you.
Everybody's confused. Well, it's much better from a visual standpoint.
No, I got you.
Yeah. You need to try it.
I said make Frank Scalish do a drawing for you.
That would work. Frank can do it. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with Brit Myers here on a Wednesday. Everybody, stay tuned. Everybody loves to chase bass on the water. But is your most valuable asset protected when it's not on the water? Empire Covers can preserve your bass boat against even the harshest conditions. When the storm is coming, that bass boat needs to be protected. Check out EmpireCovers.com for all your cover needs. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution when it comes to protecting that asset. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution in easy protection for your truck, for your boat, for your car, anything that needs to be protected from the elements. BTL listeners can receive free shipping plus an extra 15% off their entire order on EmpireCovers.com. Just use the promo code BTL at checkout. Empire Covers. Protect what you love.
New Active Target by Lowrance.
It exceeded any and all expectations I had.
It really opened up my eyes to things that I never knew happened.
I'm not sure what kind of voodoo they've included in the software, but it's incredibly impressive.
He was messing around, just pitched a little crappie jig in there, and all of a sudden you see the jig come right down in there, and you see the fish come to it. I mean, it was like that.
It's just a complete different universe that we're taking this fishing to. There's no bass safe out there.
Active Target by Lowrance. Game on.
BassCat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from BassCat.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
Oh, it's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back on a Wednesday. It is time to go to our special guest today. First of two guests. And glad to get him on the show. It's been a while, Matt. Maybe all the way back when we were in the other studio.
He's catching them too now.
Yeah. Got some good sponsors, and we're going to talk about that. So let's bring him in now. Britt, you there, man?
I am here, guys.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. It's been a long time since you've been on the show, but I thought, hey, man, let's get Britt on. Let's talk about it. I really want to dive into several things, and the first thing that I want to get into is it seems like that you're well on your way on having a decent season this year, but I was perusing your stats and looking back, and a lot of people out there may not realize, dude, you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, I don't know the amount of years, but probably 16, 17 years as a professional.
Yeah. More than that, actually. I was looking back at some of the BFL stats and some of the stuff that you fished back in the Carolinas, both South and North Carolina. But now you're starting to see some success. Obviously, you had the one big win at Winyah Bay back in, what was that, 2016?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I really want to know, Britt, how challenging, not difficult, but challenging has it been to get where you're at today, say over the last 10 years?
So,
my fishing, if you looked at my stats, it's everything I've done, I've started at the very bottom and I've worked my way up. Okay. And whether it's in a bass club or the BFLs, I can remember my first 2 or 3 years fishing those. I was horrible. And to me, it's all about building confidence, and that's what it's been the last couple of years, with when I was invited to fish Major League Fishing, I knew what I was getting into by a bunch of really good fishermen. So that's made me step my game up. But going back to the last 10 years, it's very challenging, guys. As a lot of you guys may know, I have a business as well, and the fishing industry is a lot like any other business. It's got its ups and downs. As soon as you think you're getting going good, something happens and knocks you back down, and you just got to keep grinding and keep, trying to move in a positive direction.
What's been the biggest improvement in your game from an on-the-water standpoint?
I would say just having confidence within yourself. Maybe like last week, Jacob Wheeler's out there crushed him on a flogger, which obviously we don't know that until – and I have used a flogger too, but I'm just using this as an example. If someone's a really good offshore fisherman and they know the lake really well and you don't know it that well, you got to have confidence within yourself to go do your own thing and to still be competitive with this group of anglers.
All right, let me ask you this, and this is obviously a hypothetical, but in theory, do you think that you can lose or not have a good performance on whatever body of water you're on prior to making your very first cast if you don't do the right things going into that event? Does that make sense?
No.
In other words, how important is preparation? Matt talked about...
Can you beat yourself?
He's got to do all this stuff, and he's got this list of things that he's got to do. I mean, is that your game, Britt? Do you have this routine that you go through no matter what body of water that you're going to, that I got to make sure I got this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and then you have a plan of attack once you make that first cast during practice?
So I truly believe you got to have that plan. I listened earlier, the drop shots, the open nose hooks. We all do that, man. And like you said, if we're going to, I've got boxes, whether it's from back at Lake Amistad, King Shads, the first time we ever went. Thanks, Kevin. And I've got like 100 of them. But yes, but when you get there, you have to have an open mind. Believe it or not, going back to last week's St. Lawrence River event, 2 years ago, I fished about a week on there, and I knew the flogger was going to be key, but they were 14 to 20 foot deep spawning. And I spent my first day looking that deep, got totally frustrated, and missed the 8 to 10 foot fish, and went to another section my second day of practice, because we only get 2 days of practice on the Bass Pro Tour. And believe it or not, I caught him on a drop shot and a chatterbait. Caught 26 scoreable fish over 2 pounds on a chatterbait. And that was not in the plan.
What you planned on.
That is not what I bought 30 of the week before. So sometimes things happen, whether it's you see something on the water or something, and so you can't get stuck in that rut. And you got to be able to make those decisions. And I think as I get older and more of a veteran, then I've seen things over the years, and I can pick up that chatterbait in that crystal clear water and still catch some fish.
One of the things that I've always found interesting, and a lot of people in the industry always talk very highly of you, is how hard of a worker you are, obviously, with the business that you've built, the truck modifications and the automotive and stuff, but then you're fishing full time. So I know there's a lot of people who listen to this show or small business owners own it, and they're trying to fish too, and they fish. Talk about how you can get to the top level and be competitive fishing the BPT and Opens and the Elite Series while trying to grow a business back home simultaneously and not letting one overtake the other one. Like, that's a really hard balancing act to be able to grow both your fishing career and your business at the same time, isn't it?
It's very hard. It's a double-sided question. I get people all the time. It's like, oh, you need to do what Britt does. He has a business to fall back on. But I'm never going to be a Jacob Wheeler if I devote 60 hours a day to a business and be a professional angler. As much as that kills me, and my son and I were actually talking about that yesterday, that, guys, Jacob obviously spends a ton of time. Last night we were watching old fishing shows for Champlain coming up. I come home from working 7 to 7, and I go straight to watch TV, to watch fishing shows, things like that. And it's so hard. It mentally beats you down. The older I get, the harder it is. But I love. I mean, I'm probably at the point where I could sell my business and I could just be a pro angler. But I love both of them. And, I love, I'm a fisherman at the highest level, and I'm also a business owner in our profession at the highest level. And I love the challenges of it. But at the same time, am I ever going to look back and say, man, could I have won more tournaments? Could I have done this? I don't know. I mean, but I love where I'm at, and I like what I do, and I love all the challenges.
Was there a point when you were getting started in it where you were like, I have to be one, I have to be the other? Or did they just kind of grow? Because, I mean, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get to this point now and you see it, but at the very beginning, was that even tougher for you or easier managing both? Or did it just kind of grow together?
Oh, I hit mute.
He hit mute.
How do I unmute?
Oh, you're good.
You're good
you
now.
Unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, someone called and
No, it's all good.
they're like, I see you on. They're telling me they see me on the show. That's funny. Anyway, so why they would call, I don't know. But so let me tell you that when I first started, fishing the elites. It was. Let me tell you my story real quick. So the first year I fished the Bass Opens, I fished just to fish against, because back then, like Takahiro, even Van Dam, those guys, the big name guys, fished in the Opens, if you remember. And so I fished the Opens just to fish against those guys. I have a business. That's 3 tournaments a year. I can't even think about fishing professionally. And I actually qualified that first year. And even after the last event, I wasn't even thinking about fishing the elite. This was the year before they started the Elite Series.
2005 then.
There you go.
And you had CS Motorsports, and that was your baby, and you fished on the side, and were like, man, it's going well. I love these guys. Hell, I could jump in and fish for 3 weeks out of the year against these guys.
There you go.
Okay.
And then I get a phone call. Hey, congratulations, you qualified for the Elite Series. We need to know in 12. We need to know in 12 days if you're going to fish an 8 schedule from all over the country. We know how it works. And and at first I was like, no, there's no way. But then I started thinking, well, I won't fish the BFLs. I won't fish this. I won't fish any club tournaments. I'll just fish them. And that's how I got started. So at that point, once that started, I really didn't want people to know that I had a business. I mean, it's not like this giant business that makes millions and millions and millions of dollars for me. But at the same time, I didn't think if I had a business, people would want to sponsor me. Okay? Because he doesn't need the money, blah, blah, blah. But over the years, it has changed to where all General Tire, ARE, Kicker Audio, and there's Bully Dog. There's so many sponsors that are great sponsors of mine that I wouldn't have if I didn't have the business. Didn't have that knowledge or background of automotive. So now I'm at the point in my career where they're both, it's both working out from both ends, and I got to keep fishing. I mean, I love it, and I just love everything about it.
Dude, he did. You got thrown straight into the fire. You did. You fished the 4 tournaments you qualified. So that first Elite Series season, I remember watching it because I wasn't working with Market, but I remember how diverse that season was. So that was the year they started out. You got Amistad, so South Texas Clear. That was like the Slugfest tournament. Yeah. Rayburn. Then they went to Santee Cooper, which was fine with you based on where you were. But then Gunnersville, Clarks Hill, the blueback stuff, you were fine, but then Grand, TVA, Oneida, Champlain, the Potomac River, and Table Rock. That is a diverse fishery for the first time you're traveling around the country fishing.
I didn't own a spinning rod until that year. That's the truth. So,
hey, I've got this neat little trick that I just learned on a drop shot. Speaking of spinning rods. No, I'm just kidding.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm waiting for images. I'm going to text Mark when this is over. But
I'll send you pics, okay?
Okay.
I'll send you pics. Hey, a lot of people are wondering, and since we haven't had you on the show for quite some time, the transition from the Elite Series to the BBT, how did that all take place?
So basically, to be honest with you, when everybody was, and listen, guys, I'll just say this. I'm not an anti-bass guy. I love 5 fish limits. I don't know if there's any way in the world I could get in the Bass Open. Probably not on Norman this September or whatever. I would love to fish that, but I can tell you how it happened. Everybody was announcing moving there, except for me. To be honest with you, I didn't think I had a chance of making it into the Bass Pro Tour. And I was driving back from Clark Hill. I was fishing with my son. He's in college. And I met him down there. We fished for the day. And on the way back, I was in a long conversation with a friend of mine. And this is weeks after everybody's announcing moving to the Bass Pro Tour. Okay. And I'm in a long conversation, and on the other line, Boyd Duckett pops up. And I literally hadn't talked to Boyd in a long time, and I didn't even say, hey, man, I got to go. I just hit end call and just answered the phone.
Sounds like a typical conversation with Jeffries. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I hit end call, and it's like, it just as calm as can be. Hey, Boyd, how you doing? And he told me, he's look, we're trying to build a group of anglers. We think you'd be a good fit for it. And I was kind of, I'm definitely interested, in that stuff. And when I hung up, I remember like jumping up and down in my truck. I was so excited because let me back up a minute. I was invited to fish the selects and all that stuff. But the problem is I couldn't fish the elites, the selects, and run a business. I just couldn't do it. And I knew I was invited twice. I think Gary Klein had called me 2 different times to fish the selects, and I wanted to fish them. I love the show. I love the format, but I just couldn't do it. And when everybody was, when this whole deal was evolving and people were making their posts, I'm going here, going there, whatever. And I knew since I didn't fish the selects, I was just out of luck. And that's what made that phone call such a surprising phone call.
It took you a while to get the hang of it. I remember watching it. There were struggles. There were a lot of times I remember that first year or two. There was one where you were like right on the cut line. You were back fishing like grass, matted vegetation. You were like losing fish. And I was like, God, I would like to see Britt make the cut here. And then it started kind of rolling. It seems like it's kind of clicking now. But did you go like a year without making a top 20 cut? That's got to wear on you a little bit.
But here's what happened. So the first or whatever, I think Conroe was the first or second event. Now I live on Lake Wiley, South Carolina, North Carolina. We grew up fishing boat docks. Everybody that fishes on these lakes are really good boat dock fishermen. And dude, my first event fishing those boat docks, I was about 30 minutes left. I was in like 19th spot. They give me a score tracker update, and all I'm doing is fishing boat docks. And it was like Iaconelli, Van Dam, Greg Hackney. They were all gaining on me. Dude, I could not put a jig underneath the dock to save my life. I mean, it was horrible. I was literally tensing up, shaking. It's the guys talk about it all the time, but that took me a long time to get used to it. Now, in that first year, I never made a cut, but I got closer and closer. And the tournament you're talking about was the lake in Wisconsin. Oh gosh, I'll think of it here in a second. But it came down to 4 or 5 minutes left. I literally had the biggest bass of the tournament on a frog, dragging her through a mat, and that was the fish to make my very first cut. And I lost that bass. and I had to go all season.
Oh,
all season thinking about that one fish. But then the next year, I made, I think, every cut but one.
Yep.
So let's go from there. So I ended on a good note. I made their heavy hitters tournament, the Red Crest. And so I'm like, yes, I'm good to go. My first 2 events this year were near dead last. But then my last 3 have been in the right direction. I'm just sat outside the actual Red Crest cut. So got 2 more to go. And the thing about the score tracker, let me tell you how it can be a good thing. Like at St. Lawrence River, I was sitting dead last when everybody else in the field had 20 pounds, but I had already lost 20 pounds of fish with that little nose hook that you're talking about. But I knew that I was around enough fish that if I just started landing them, that I could make the knockout round, and I did.
One of the other things I want to talk about is your boy Britt Jr. is like really good.
He's got more luck. He's got more luck than I do. That's what I tell him. He has. There is something to it. You guys have talked about on the show and everything else, but there's something to an angler who fishes at a young age, and his mind can soak it all in, and he can develop with that. I was a guy who was 21, 22 years old, who got in a bass club. I started my business when I was 19. It was very small, and I dabbled in it. So I was really late to the party when it comes to a lot of bass fishing. But he has grew up. He's actually right now he's on the water on our home lake here, and he's eat up with it. From a parent perspective, I see a lot of successful people. I see a lot of people who aren't successful. So I'm not pushing him. Let him do what he wants to do. His senior year in college is next year, and he hasn't officially said that I want to be a pro angler. So who knows? Matt, you definitely know, and I've been following you with your, going through the opens and stuff. Things have to go your way. The reason I made the elites is because I wasn't trying to make the elites. There was no stressor. I was just, to be honest
doing
with
it
you,
all wrong.
Listen, exactly. Let me tell you what happened. I remember the last event on Lake on Kissimmee. I was not trying to qualify. I shared my spot with Jason Quinn. I remember like yesterday, it was a shell bar. I would let him cast, and I would cast. I would cast, and I still caught enough to qualify. Think about that.
Yeah.
If it would have been you, and you'd have had that spot, you'd have been guarding it. You'd have, get away from here. I'm trying to make the elites. Instead, I was just like, come on in, man. We're catching them together, having a good time. And like I said, it wasn't even a goal. So
that's what's so hard. Like, he's like, how do you qualify for the leads? You don't try. John Sukup the other day was like, you want to know how to cash checks? Don't try to cash checks. I'm like, just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's
that's unbelievable. I had one more kind of path that I wanted to go down while we had Britt on it. Yeah, you don't know if you have any other thing you want to go down, but I want to know, because you work on all the guys' vehicles and stuff. I want to know who the guy that you work on, when he comes in, you're like, this guy's going to be a pain in the butt. Like the guy who's like the most meticulous everything about his stuff, where you're like, I'm going to get a bunch of calls about this, and everything's going to have to just be absolutely perfect. Because I know, there's some guys like Crete who are just like, hey, move the 3 foot of stuff out so you can sit in. And then there's other guys who are like, and this is powder coated with carbon swivels or whatever.
Yeah. I can honestly tell you that there is not one of the anglers that's like that.
Really?
I have a lot of customers that are like that, and rightfully so. Everybody deserves to be as picky as they want to be. But I don't have one that calls, and I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. I'll tell you, Ike Ellie is a very good customer, and he's known to tear up a bunch of stuff, but he doesn't tear up anything on his trucks. He does drive a Toyota, which is very dependable, but no, I don't have one. I wish I had a good story about that. Listen, at the end of the day, guys, I'm a guy who was a kid who my grandfather took me fishing, and I never thought I'd ever be a professional angler. And I always had a passion for cars, and I have, we have a pretty large business in the aspect of car accessories. We employ about 27 people total, and
Wow.
and I mean, to have that business, fish at that level, I'm super duper fortunate. I'm like the luckiest guy on the planet. And sometimes I do beat myself down. Like, man, I wish I could have spent more time doing this. I wish I could have, when guys left and they fished Champlain for a couple of days, but I needed to get back to the shop. I wish I could have done that, because I watched the show with Jacob Wheeler, and he said he went to Champlain and he crushed them. And I'm like, God, that's, that he's already got a step on me right there. So,
well, he's got to step on pretty much everybody
he
for
does,
the last
man.
decade, Britt. Don't feel too bad about that.
Yeah.
He does. But, but at the end of the day, I love everything about my life, and I'm just the most fortunate guy in the world.
Very cool. All right, a couple of questions from the instant feedback, and then we'll let you go. Jay wants to know, what is your rod setup that you're using for your chatterbait?
Okay, so obviously I use ducket rods. Now, I actually like to fish, if I'm fishing boat docks, I recently last year or two, started using a 7-foot heavy action. If I'm fishing offshore grass, making extremely long casts, I'll actually go to a 7.6 medium heavy. I can tell you a quick story. I don't want to keep you on all day, but when I was fishing Winyah Bay, the first day, the tournament that I won, the first day I was fishing a 7-foot rod offshore, and every fish I flipped into the boat, just about every one of them come off as they were coming over the gunnel. Okay. And I remember, I remember talking to, I was rooming with Gerald Swindle at the time. And I remember talking to him, and, I told him what happened. And back then, we could talk about tackle and all that stuff. And, he's like, man, he said, I would try a 7.6. And and so I did, and every fish got the bait better. It was just, you hooked them better. And I had to actually physically take the hook out instead of it coming out of their mouth by themselves. So that's something I learned way back then that helped me win a tournament. But offshore, 7.6 medium heavy, and around boat docks, like a 7-foot heavy action.
And you're a cranker with them. Once they hit it, you crank those suckers in and get them in as quick as you can on a chatterbait, right?
That's right. Yeah, I don't. You're throwing big, most of the time, 15-pound line if I'm offshore, and usually 17 to 20 if I'm around docks or structure like that.
Very nice. And then, what are your thoughts on the St. Lawrence River?
Yeah. Man, I finished like 20-something, and I feel like I still missed the boat, and I really did. I went down there with the confidence, thinking I was going to do really well, and I told you about the depth deal, and and what it was, looking back, my son actually told me this. His dad, the water was 7 foot higher then, and they actually spawned on the same areas. But see, I couldn't. We were fishing in Canada when we were there, and if I could have ran to Canadian waters, I could have figured out that depth difference. I probably would have, But I literally laid on my belly, like trolling motoring around looking for beds, and I would catch 1 or 2 an hour, and it would be big ones, 4 or 5 pounders. But that just wasn't the deal. But the St. Lawrence River is awesome. I remember the first Elite Series event. I went there. I think I finished like high 20s or 30, so right around there. But it was the first ever place that I ever had, and it was later in the year. They were all offshore, that I had multiple schools found that I knew nobody else knew about. So, like, if I was struggling and I needed a 3.5 pounder, I knew I could run to, make a cast, catch 1 or 2, fill my limit, then go back out, look for the 4 pounders. It's an insane place. They're getting bigger. With all the pressure and stuff, the fish are getting bigger, and it's only getting better.
You were just there. Me and Jeffries go out there, or an average weekend guy who hasn't been up there, just went out there that week, the same week that you guys were there. Did everybody catch him, or was it a deal where it was like, you kind of had to know what you were going on, but like if you were a competent bass angler with decent stuff and knew how to bass fish, but didn't know anything about it, could you launch your boat there and be like banner day?
No, it would be almost you could run into them, and if you had the right bait and the right depth, you could catch them. But it could be tough. There was my first day of practice. I went like 3 hours one day without a bite, and I remember talking to Chris Lane.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Or maybe not 3. It could have been an hour, and it felt like 3 hours there. But but I remember talking to Chris Lane. He said the same thing in practice. He's like, yeah, if you go, he said he had some lulls like that, and if that happens to you, you'd be out of the tournament quick. But here's how tournament fishing works, and Matt knows this as good as anybody. We all in practice have those lulls, but when the tournament starts, we go to where they're at and we don't leave, or we hammer on those areas. And so we, as professional anglers, we still struggle throughout the day, even during tournaments. But even when we're catching them really good, there's areas we had to eliminate to be able to catch them like that.
Interesting. So out of that 90 miles you could fish, do you think there were massive schools of spawning fish that like no one even tapped? Or do you think that a lot of the population of fish were in specific areas that you guys found? Or were there thousands and thousands of fish that never saw a bait from a BPT guy that whole week?
100%. The area I fished was in Ogdensburg. I was really the first day. Actually, Terry Scroggins came in there and he had a good tournament, but it was a giant flat with tons of fish, and he and I are the only anglers that fished that area, and no one else evidently found it, or it was so far away from everything else. With our format, you got to catch so many fish that you can't leave an area and run 25 miles down like we used to try to get 2 4-pound bites.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Matt, there'll be plenty of fish when you get there, okay?
Well, I'm not asking about that. I was just trying to get a feel. Well, I mean, you sit there and you watch it, and you're just like, you launch your boat, you catch 5-pounders. But then I was watching Edwin's deal online, and he was like, hey, here's me going 2.5 hours in competition catching one fish that weighed 2 pounds.
Yeah.
But then you look at the weights and you watch everything, and the way that MLF does it, they cut to guys who catch fish, so there's zero downtime. So it gives you the impression that literally all you do is drop your bait in the water and you got a 5-pounder on. So when you're talking with someone who had a really strong tournament, like Wheeler's kind of hard to relate to with the number of fish that he caught, oh yeah, we could possibly do 200 pounds. And you're just like, but like you had a really good tournament, really strong, understood the fishery, were battling for the top. It kind of puts it more into perspective about what it was like. It was a slugfest, but it wasn't like just show up and catch them. There was still a lot of strategy involved in it.
Yeah, well, with any tournament that's ever been aired on TV or the internet, there's always guys who crush them. And there's always 20 guys driving home wondering what the heck they even chose to bass fish. And that happens all the time. And no matter what it is, that happens.
Yeah. Great stuff, man. Britt, thank you so much for coming on. After the season, definitely want to get you on again. And, man, best of luck to you the remainder of the season.
Dude, guys, I appreciate it. Good luck to you, Matt. And I'm a huge fan of the I'm a huge fan of the show. I was telling Mark I watch it when I'm driving because it really I get caught up on all the episodes. It passes time and it's informational. I learn a lot when I'm watching it. But I appreciate it. I'm excited to be on here and look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, see you, Britt.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care. There you have it, Brit Myers. Good stuff, man.
One of the most liked. I put him in James Niggemeyer, Bill Lowen category, wouldn't you? One of the most liked guys. Like I said, you can always tell based on who's around. When Britt won on Winyah Bay, which I can't believe it was already 2016, and those guys are at the end of a long road trip, and I've never seen so many guys stick around to watch him lift that trophy.
Yeah.
And we're just as happy as Britt was for Britt.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool to see. I mean, dozens of guys stuck around.
That was cool. All right, everybody, we're going to take a short break. Come back with Mark Menendez. Get the scoop on Champlain. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Duck It Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really, really adamant about having the perfect action is a crankbait, especially like the square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really, really, really on top of having my actions just perfect. There's one.
You know what works. Now you need a bunch of them so you don't run out on your next fishing trip. The Big Bite Pro Packs feature 25 baits per pack at a price far below that of having to buy 5 packs of regular baits. Now the Pro Pack has a big brother, the Mega Pack. The Mega Pack features 100 of your favorite baits.
With these, one bag is usually plenty to get through the day. It helps me stay organized, helps me save money, helps me catch more fish.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get,
it's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Little John family of crankbaits designed by top tour pro John Cruz have excelled at catching bass in any condition for years. They all feature a flat-sided design and paint jobs that are seldom seen in mass production bait. The Little John family also expands with new rattling versions of the Little John 50 and Little John 50 MD. Both of these baits are proven fish catchers that will now be available in rattling versions for stained and muddy water. They feature the same great action and diving depths as the original 50 and MD sizes.
The Ned Rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned Rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned Rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned Rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
All right, we are back on Wednesday, wrapping things up with our next guest. And we're going to go to the Sunline Hotline for Mark Menendez. And what were you saying? Issues with the podcast yesterday?
There's some people saying they can't.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Listen to the Wheeler one. They've changed some things on you.
Yeah, I'm not very happy with the provider that we're using.
Like after the show, Jeffrey sits here and just furiously for like 25 to 35 minutes. Again, and he's got everything up on the big screen here, so you can see how many different pages he has.
Yeah.
Open to try to get the show out to all of you guys.
All right, so I'll look into that, get that corrected, and do what I need to do to take care of business on that side. All right, let's bring in our guest now. Mark, you there, man?
I'm here, guys. How are you all?
Doing great, man. Thanks for taking time out. Final day of practice. What can you tell us and the fans about what's going on at Champlain?
Well, I'm not taking any time out, Mark. I got a rod in my hand right now, so I'm working hard. It's a unique situation. We're kind of on a postpone, and it's real random and real scattered for the most part. So you go and you pick a bite or two up, and you go and you pick up a bite or two up, and it's real random at best for me right now.
Mark, one of the most difficult things that I've always thought about covering tournaments on Champlain is it's either like 16 and a half a day or 17 a day or 17 and a half a day, but you can have 17 a day, and if it's 17 and a half, you're in 50th place. How the heck do you know if you're on 3 and a half or 3 3/4? Like, everything is so condensed there. In a practice, are you shaking fish off, or are you catching a lot to get those bigger ones? And then how do you separate yourself that extra 1/4 of a pound? Is that random luck? I mean, it just seems so hard to try to figure out how to finish in the top on a place like Champlain.
It really is, man. I generally don't have too much problem catching 14 pounds here, and that gets you about 80th place when it's all said and done. Okay, for that. So that's the trick, and I've found a way to catch a better grade, catching that 3 to 3.5 to 4 pound grade, which is it has not held up this morning. So I'm doing something completely different this morning. The wind has flip-flopped. We're under a north wind today, which has kind of shut down what I was wanting to try to do. But yesterday the wind blew like crazy, and then it laid over, and I managed to get quite a few bites doing both, when the wind was blowing and when the wind wasn't blowing. So I don't know, Matt, to answer your question, I've been up here, I guess this is my 7th or 8th time coming up here, and the first year was a September tournament, and I caught them, and I hadn't caught enough to eat since, and I can't find a Captain D's to go buy some fish.
My problem up north would be if I found like a school of yellow perch, I'd just be like, oh, I'm done. I'd be drop shot in a night crawler with a live well full of yellow perch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm setting the hook on one right now.
All right.
It's a northern. It's a chain pickerel. So that's the thing. You go through an area and get a few bites, and doggone it, they're not even bass. They're little old toothy critters, and they will bite just about anything that you want to throw. And it's a great bite, though. They knock the slack out of it.
Well, yeah.
It's not a pike. It's a chain pickerel.
It's a chain pickerel.
You can tell based on just their size and their markings. They're more like kind of mottled leopardy than the pike, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You don't catch any big pike up here. And these darn things, I call them flesh darts because they run out there and pop anything that you throw. And so they're a nuisance. But you go through an area and you get a bite or two of those, then the next thing you know, you ease up and it's heavy, and it's another one of them good old green largemouths, about 4 pounds.
What are we talking? 80 pounds to win this thing? 20 a day?
I'm sure, Matt. We're hitting it a little bit more post-spawn, so that weight might actually be a little bit lighter than, 76 to 82 would be right in there pretty good. Because there's an awful lot of 4.5 pound fish that live in this place. So I'd say in that 76 to 82.
Nice.
There you have it. Is this a typical Lake Champlain tournament this time of the year, Mark?
There's going to be it's Champlain. It's pretty typical. There's going to be a lot of bass caught.
Yeah.
It just is that, like Matt said, it's so hard to get that better grade. I caught a couple smallmouth yesterday in that 4 pound class that were post-spawn fish, so they would have been 4 3/4 in a couple 3 weeks. Caught a largemouth a little while ago that I thought was a 4 pounder, and he was a 3/12. So, but he was all post-spawned out. So it's just that 3.5 pound fish is going to weigh heavy on your mind trying to get 2 or 3 of those a day.
The Bass just finally announced that you guys knew it for a long time that you would get a COVID drop in the tournaments. You're one of these guys. I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on how you're watching the points. You're 38th in the points right now. You get to drop one of your 80ths. You still have an 80th on there. It's coming down to the final 2. Like, have you done all that math with the drop and where it puts you and all that stuff? And does that change your game plan going into these last 2 northern events at all to make the Classic?
Well, Matt, to do that kind of math, I had to take my shoes and socks off. But yeah, I have looked at it real hard. I think that if I can get somewhere anything north of 105 points in the 2 tournaments, my chances go up, and if I get 120, I'll be just fine.
So 2 top half of the fields, basically. 2 cuts.
Yes, 2 cuts, and it'll all be good. But I sure would like to get the majority of that work done here this week, so I don't have to rely on next week.
All right, man.
It's a great signal from Champlain.
That is really
great
good,
phone
man.
signal.
You're in a great area. I have no idea where you're at and don't want to know, but man, you sound great, Mark.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You can see how I look. I look even better. Just kidding. No, it's just I've been in this situation so darn many times. I've been the first guy out of the Classic 3 times in my career. I did it back-to-back, guys, 7 and 8. And I really don't want to do that again. My fiance said something to me the other day before I left. She says, now I want you to go make this classic. And I said, well, honey, I'll do everything I can. You know that? She goes, no, I want to come as the missus at the next classic. I was the girlfriend at the 19 classic or the 20 classic. I want to be the missus on this one. I said, well, baby, we're going to take care of that for you if I possibly can.
That's awesome. Hey, how many bites a day do you get up there at Champlain in practice? Like, how many are you shaking off? How many are you setting the hook on? What are we talking, 20, 30, 40 bites a day?
Yeah, it's, 20 to 25 is about what I've been getting. And, it's funny. I just found a little old wad of them here a minute ago dropping in this grass, and I dropped the waypoint, Matt. And I looked at the waypoint, and I went, uh-oh, that's trouble right there. The waypoint number was 711. That's Melissa's birthday coming up this week, so that place is loaded. So I feel
you're a lock
good
for a top 10.
There you have it.
I hope, dude.
All right, very nice. All right, Mark, we're going to let you go, but thanks for giving us a little indicator on what's going to go down this week at Champlain, and wish you nothing but the best, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Somebody's going to find that magic 50 yards here, and either brown or green, and it's just the way it happens here. I'm a grinder, and that's been my whole career, so we're going to work at it and try to catch everything that bites, and hope what I figured out yesterday when this wind switches back around that they'll come play with me tomorrow too. If so, I'll have a good bag of fish.
All right, man. Best of luck to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man.
In the near future.
See ya. Mark Menendez.
It sounded like he was in a studio.
It was really, really good. Wow. That was unbelievable.
Like I said, it
we were going to do the video thing, and then we kind of tested and goofed around, and we're like,
you said the vast majority. I mean, yeah, we're definitely growing the YouTube. We're over the 10K mark now.
Yeah.
But the majority of this is iTunes, podcasts.
Yeah.
Apple, Google, what is it? Google Play?
Google Podcasts now.
Google Podcasts.
I think is what it's called.
How many are we on? Are you on?
There's like 12 of them.
12 of them?
Yeah.
And then you have a program that supposedly disseminates them to all 12?
Obviously not yesterday.
It doesn't work.
I don't know why. Why did they change stuff up?
You think it's random? Like, I still have an issue with the up north because it's obviously not. Like, when it's like, well, it's luck on whether it's a 3.5 or a 3 3/4, but then why are all the same guys always at the top? Why are the same guys? Why is a Seth Fighter, a Johnson Brothers, a Polinick?
They figure it out.
And Austin Felix.
They figure it out.
Like, why are those guys always consistently 2-3 ounces heavier than the field?
They figure it out, and I think the biggest factor is experience. Experience.
It's also hard, because like I said, I'm going up north in a month, and I've been up there a lot. But, like, it's hard to differentiate between tournament and vacation. Like, it's that, like, if you guys are from the south and you've never been up north and you have the conifers
really
and
nice.
The pine trees and the crisp in the morning, and you've got like there's a lot of things to distract you. There's like moose and bear and perch and walleye and pike and muskie and clear water, and everything looks good. And I mean, like, I go up to Canada every year for a week and a half of my life, and it's like vacation. And every time I'm up there, I've always been like, man, it'd be so hard to fish a tournament up here because it's like hard. Like, it's easy when you're on, for lack of a better term, an ugly lake. You know what I mean? Like, you're there to do your job. It's a pain in the butt to get there with the freaking traffic. You put your boat in, you do it, and you get the heck out of there.
So you get caught up in the moment.
Yeah, you get caught up in the moment up north. Real easy. Plus, here's the other thing you're not taking into account. Up there, it gets light at like 1:30 in the morning and stays light until like 11 at night.
It's a long time.
So you're 18, 19-hour days practicing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. The other news that came down yesterday, not unexpected. John Cox DQ, not going to be able to fish. And we talked about that on previous shows.
Made a decision. That's the decision.
Yeah. I mean, the rules are...
I don't understand why there's no... I don't even understand why there's a controversy about this. Like, I love John Cox. It'd be awesome if he could fish at all. He can't fish at all. He had to make a decision. There's
not a controversy.
And there's a difference between, like, accommodating things and then, like, changing the rules.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they're rules. That's why it's the top level. Can't be on the water in 30 days. He had an opportunity to change it. He made the right one. He made a top 10 in the BPT. He won his round.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It is what it is, and it's unfortunate, but what did I say
like
at the beginning
hey,
of the year? You have a choice.
Have they talked about the John Cox deal? Like, what issue is there? There is none.
Yeah. I'm reading stuff. What was Well, did you read that?
Yeah. I'm just going with what's public information that's out there. I don't know anything about that. I haven't like
talk to him.
Deep dived in. I talked to someone who worked at Bass.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's a non-issue. I mean, they weren't like the guy making the decision. You know what I mean? But they're familiar with it and they're like, dude, the guy just...
Can you recall in anything where a big-time decision had been made to change a rule?
No.
Just because of a certain situation?
Not ripping on him, but I mean, MLF changes rules a lot. Because of the stuff, they change rules big time.
How do they change rules?
Well, I mean, it's just
Give me
different.
an example.
Different at the beginning of
No, I'm talking about
BPT.
To make
for one angler.
For one situation.
I can't.
Yeah. Now, some people might say the controversy is, well, why can't he drop that one?
Here's the real easy for that. There's a difference between a 0 and a DQ. So he's getting DQ'd because he was on waters that are tournament waters for the Elite Series during the cutoff period. So you cannot drop a DQ, which makes sense because if you could drop a DQ, that would give 100 guys a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
That way you push the boundaries and stuff. Big difference between a DQ and a 0. A 0, if he wasn't DQ'd and didn't fish the event, he'd 0.
Yeah.
But
there's probably...
And it's not like a malicious DQ, it's a technical DQ.
Yeah. There's probably few people that actually know. One of those obviously being John Cox, and then whoever the representation or representative of the officials for Bass, whoever that was, really know what happened prior,
and I think
what happened during, and what happened after.
And I know they've had text message chains and emails and talked to the whole Elite Series field about it and all sorts of stuff. But from everything I've heard, I mean, John Cox has been John Cox through it. Just like, hey, man, I'm just trying to fish as much as I can
what
and
he's
exhaust
doing
every opportunity that I can. Yeah.
It's impressive that he's trying to fish all three things and do what he does. And if that's the case, and if that situation exists, that's between John Cox and whoever made that decision. And
now,
whatever
behind the scenes,
had.
did someone 6 months ago go, oh, we'll work it out? I don't know. No one knows.
We don't know.
So who the heck knows?
That's what I'm saying. There's about 3 or maybe 4 people, or the people that were involved in that situation. So I don't know. Rules are rules.
He said they would address it when the time came. Well, they addressed it.
Yeah.
Like I said, John Cox has handled everything that I've seen great, but I mean, I haven't really done a deep dive into that. Like, John Cox is one of the dudes, are you cool? Like, can you just call up John Cox and chat with him?
Yeah.
I'm cool with him. He's always like, hey, what's up? But he's not like one of the dudes that I just call up and chat. It's weird how you end up, getting to know certain guys and not other guys, and even though they're great guys, it's just weird how that
beat writer
navigation.
I mean, that happens in other sports. Yeah. Beat writers for certain teams and situations.
Then you have to figure out who's actually being nice to you, and then who's this could lead to an interview. There's a big difference with that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it is what it is, man.
You really like that Cornell hockey hat. That is
my favorite one.
Go-to hat.
I got 4 of them.
Oh, you have 4 of them?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they may not make it anymore. It's that perfect fitting hat that I like. It's not a trucker hat. It's not too big.
You
it's
do
not
have
too
an
small.
odd shape. You have an interesting shaped head.
Yeah. Melon head. It's not a melon head.
You're not a Richardson 112 guy.
Doesn't look good on me. I don't think.
Try it on.
Is this
That's it's very similar to a Richardson 112.
But it's not.
Do we have your hat over there? Here. Hold on, I gotta go find one. I want to see
it might
this.
be under the Iguanas jersey. Is it under the Iguanas jersey?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of puffy.
How many
I don't know, dude.
Try it.
I really don't know. You gotta bend it up a little bit. I can't do the flat brim.
No. Just a slight bend. Richardsons are not designed for the frickin' horseshoe.
I don't. Okay, hang on here. No.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like it's supposed to. Does it feel good?
It's kind of loose.
Give it one click.
It's kind of loose.
Give it one more click.
I'll go with that. Wow. You even got to adjust the...
You even have the sticker on it still. No, that looks fine. I thought it would look goofy. It doesn't look goofy.
It's not that bad at all. I thought it was more poofy right here, but it's not. Yeah. By the way, when's the store opening up? Tomorrow?
Supposedly. I have to call and talk to it.
The link? Keep your
will
fingers
be on
crossed.
The BTL.
Yeah.
Basson.com is all you'll have to go to. I'll also have the link in my Instagram and on the BTL Facebook page. And then whoever else I can get to post the link who have way more popular than me and can do swipe ups.
All right. Frank, tomorrow, day 4. We'll get after it. I have no idea what Frank's going to talk about tomorrow. Same time. And then, I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday. Yes, we're doing a post-game show on Sunday night after Champlain, 7 p.m. Central Time. The post-game show returns. Matt, myself, and we will have a special guest. Have no idea who that guest will be. And once again,
who's your winner?
Cell service over there. Dude, I have no idea.
Pick a winner.
Can I pull up the list real quick?
Absolutely.
Here, let me pull up the list.
There's like 20 guys who could be favorites in this one. Champlain, I feel, in my opinion, Champlain is like one of the fisheries I never would ever get tired of them going to. It's just so big, so diverse.
It's awesome, man.
Do you not agree that that's like hard to get tired of watching guys fish Champlain?
No, I agree 100% with that. I am going to go Steve Kennedy.
Really?
Yes. Kind of out there, but not really.
I picked
that is a sentimental pick.
I went, we did the open anglers pick 'em with, that's Andrew Upshaw's deal with Todd Castledine and Hallman, and I went with Scott Martin. I think Scott's
can't go wrong with that one.
I still think Scott. But, listen, you could honestly go Seth Feider, Chris Johnson, Brandon Polinick,
Hartman,
Greg Hackney, Corey Johnson, Scott Martin. I mean, there's just Austin Felix. That would be my...
Did you say Christie?
Yeah, well, he can win anywhere. I mean, dude, and then you look at the guys you did good last time, and then you have to throw in, the David Mullins and stuff like that. Gustafson, Schlopper, Zaldane, Brian Schmidt. A lot of guys think Brian Schmidt. Morgan Thaler likes flipping grass. Combs likes cranking. Canterbury's done well there. Wendlett's won there before. It's a stacked field.
It's going to be fun to watch. Action starts
tomorrow. I like all the new commercials, too. It's nice to mix it up.
I still have some work to do.
What's the cover deal? Was there a...
What do you mean?
When does that start?
Now.
What is the
free shipping?
code?
Free shipping and 15% off whatever discount that you're
Empire
getting already.
Covers. Right?
EmpireCovers.com.
What's the code?
BTL.
Just type in BTL, 15% off.
Plain and simple.
We finally get discount codes. We've made it, Jeffries.
We've
made it.
I guess so.
We've
After
got
how many
a discount code.
After
17 years.
Okay, I'll take it. All right, Uncle Frank tomorrow. Frank Scalish back on the show. Day 4 tomorrow. Same time, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. And my apologies for the podcast issues yesterday. I will dive into that.
Better get it figured out or else they wouldn't be able to hear this apology.
Yeah, I'll get that figured out as soon as the show's over. I'm not happy. Anyway, tomorrow. Anything else, Matthew?
No, that's it.
All right. Merch, hopefully tomorrow, too. Check it out. We'll let you know. That's it, folks. We're out of here.